This is our presentation on I'm One of You Forever. The chapter is called The Posse, and it's in the form of a song. So here's our presentation. Was a man named Loudon Sorrels, blew out the door and left his morals on the open road by the time he was 16.
Well, Loudon Sorrels was a man of many trades. He was a drinker, a cowboy, a ladies' man. Now, a while back, he rolled home to the farm after being away for quite some time. He brought gifts for his family members and showed everyone that he loved them and he missed them.
He rolled up in a red panel truck. All the ladies called him wanting to meet. He went out every night and nearly drank himself to death. Now, did we mention he was a drinking man? No amount of alcohol could put him under the table, though. This is a man who could ignore his intoxication and hit 12 targets with 12 bullets. Says he believes that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. Now, what most people don't know is that with all his drinking and womanizing, Loudon was never happy with himself. Many people would call this man an example of a classical egoist. Others might call him a rambler. James Rachel says that ethical egoism fails as an ethical theory. And if you look close, you can see Loudon Sorrels failing at life.
Some might also say that Loudon has his own personal values and opinions on how to act, and that he chooses what is right thing to do based solely on those values and opinions. If you're trying to be fancy, you could say his own stage 5 of his moral development, outlined by Kohlberg in his 6 stages of moral development. Loudon says, in reference to fake letters sent to him by his father, "They don't scare me, I'm not going to change my plans."
Now, these impersonal relationships were a way for Loudon to bury his happiness under a deceiving blanket of purely physical relations. However, this was not the place to accept quantity over quality. Hardwig explains that we have both impersonal and personal relationships in our lives, but having 3 wives and a countryside full of cowgirls ain't no way to live your life.
2. Heeded a warning from an angry mob, threatening to come up and chop off his knob if he didn't stop messing around with their daughters
And wives,
and sisters and nieces
and second cousins,
and grandma. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Could it be that all these pleasures that he took in life were a distraction for what really made him happy? It's apparent he's a good man with a heart of gold, and that he loves his family, and that giving to his family makes him feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Why can't he realize that his family, they make him happy? And why must he continuously warm his insides with alcohol?
Even when the world was spinning round, Loudon couldn't put that bottle down. He couldn't get angry with no one but himself. conclusion that the bottle took a hold of Ludin's life and brought him down. He hated himself for not being able to quit the habit. This is what we meant about egoism failing as a moral theory. Ludin's various forms of sin should be making him feel good, but the only thing he can feel is self-loathing. Ludin's life was nothing but gin and sin, but he also had a softer side. Early on when Ludin arrives, he brings gifts and is happy to see his family, which we can tell he cares for very much. His family wasn't expecting gifts, so you might say that this was an act of altruism. Others would say that altruism doesn't exist. However, from this situation, we can plainly see that Ludin and his family love each other.
He woke up before the sun came up, hopped in his red panel truck, drove to Amber Mountain just to get that done.
Family picnic was the goal in mind, and Ludin would slowly find that his family was growing weary of the things that he'd done.
On the picnic with his family, Ludin seems to be happy. For the first time since his return, he takes young Jess and Johnson up to the cliff edge to show them the beauty of South Carolina sunrise. Jess makes a comment that he could sense the sunlight and the blue air and the broad glory of morning soaking into him, so you know that it had an effect on this young fella. With his arms spread wide, it was almost a foreshadowing of his salvation.
It was a dark and stormy night. Jess's dad thought he'd give him a fright. Said, get yours out of bed. There's a posse outside and want you dead. Jump out on the roof so they can find you.
Now this scared old Ludin so much that he stopped drinking entirely, and that night went no more roving. True, it was a cruel trick for the boys to play on old Uncle Ludin, but how cruel can it be if it helped Ludin get his life back on track? Here we see the value of a personal relationship as explained by Hartley. Ludin's family cares enough about him to scare him out of his self-destructive ways. His many impersonal relationships would never be able to help him in the way that his family did.
Now the time for him to leave had come. They did all for him they could have done. With the man that messed up, they did all they could do.
So he hopped into his red panel truck, off to Reno to try out his luck. Looked down the road to forever, he said, wahoo!